Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Friday the 19th of September. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Waikato people are being encouraged to jump on a bus, enjoy a cycle, walk to work or carpool as a way to celebrate World Car Free Day next week. Monday the 22nd of September marks World Car Free Day, which was established in 2000 as a grassroots movement to promote alternatives to travelling by car and reduce the impact on the natural environment. Using your car just one day less each week will reduce your carbon footprint by 1 tonne of carbon dioxide a year. Meanwhile, for Bay of Plenty residents who have thought about taking the bus but never have, this Saturday could be the day to give it a go. Bay of Plenty Regional Council's Bay Hopper buses, the yellow buses in Tauranga and blue Whakatane to Ohope bus and City Ride buses in Rotorua are free for the day. Bay of Plenty Regional Councillor Lyle Thurston, chair of the Public Transport Subcommittee, says anyone thinking about heading into town or using the buses to get to an election booth just needed to either visit the baybus.co.nz website or call 0800 4 BAYBUS to find out their nearest bus route and timetable. A karakia has been performed by tangata whenua and local kaumātua to acknowledge the significance of Lake Waikare and the nearby Whangamarino wetland to Waikato Tainui and local hapu. The event at Lake Waikare was related to Waikato Regional Council's work to refine its management plan for the lake and wetland in consultation with Waikato Tainui and other stakeholders. As part of work on its long-term plan, the Council will work with iwi and others to identify what's needed to develop and implement this plan. This review will include looking at how to better manage the discharge of water from Lake Waikare through to flood control gate while maintaining the viability of the local flood protection scheme. Last weekend, Steve Owen drove for the Factory Ford team in the first of Australia's big V8 supercars endurance races. In less than a fortnight's time, he'll be at Taupo partnering Aucklander Tim Edgegill in the season's opening BNT NZ Super Tours endurance event. The experienced Owen is in great demand as a co-driver at the weekend. He joined Ford Performance Racing's Mark Winterbottom, who led much of this year's Supercar Championship for Melbourne's Sandown 500 race, the lead-up race to the Bathurst 1,000-kilometre Classic next month. Owen finished third in the preliminary race for co-drivers, but was less fortunate in the main race as he and Winterbottom came in 10th. Marine forecast now, west coast Raglan, northwest 25 knots, rising early Saturday morning to 40 knots with very rough seas, then changing overnight Saturday to southwest of 25 knots. Southwest swell becoming heavy Saturday. High tide is at 7:19 in the morning. East coast Bay of Plenty, northerly rising to 30 knots, rain developing, then showers later. The swell will be 1.5 metres on Saturday, then easing to 1 metre on Sunday and dying out on Monday. High tide is at 4:23 p.m. Just ahead, CrossFit. What's all the hype about? Welcome to Central News on TV Central. CrossFit has seen a huge upsurge in popularity in the past few years, and Kaimai Valley CrossFit has recently opened in Te Aroha. Anne-Marie spoke with owner and head coach Steve Curry to find out his thoughts on the popularity of CrossFit.
It's a very potent form of exercise. You only spend an hour a day, an hour a day in the gym, and within that you hit your strength, cardiovascular, coordination, agility, speed, power, all in 1 hour. Another nice thing is that you come in and the workout's varied every day. You don't have to think about what you're going to do. You come in, you read what's on the whiteboard, and that's your workout for the day. Although it is scaled, so whatever's written up can be modified to suit your ability level and needs. But it's also got that slightly competitive element. There's a clock running to say how how much time you've got left or how long you've taken to do the workout so far. There's usually somebody you know standing to your right or left, and you're seeing them creep ahead in the number of reps, and you're like, oh, can't have that. And so there's that competitive element people really enjoy. And it's quite reminiscent of a sport without the need to be necessarily going and training for it.
And carrying on like that.
Yeah.
What is CrossFit? Talk us through it. What are its primary objectives?
It's a core strength and conditioning program. And the core part is that it doesn't specialise in any one area. So if you were to do strength and conditioning for MMA, you wouldn't necessarily be achieving a broad range of skills. You would be specifying towards MMA. Same with rugby or swimming or horse riding. What we try to do at CrossFit is give a broad spectrum. The tagline is we specialise in not specialising.
And I guess like cross-training, it's CrossFit. Would that be, you know, like you're doing something of everything? Is that kind of...
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
There's the official line is that it's constantly varied, functional movement performed at high intensity.
Is it a class? You mentioned competing against somebody else, but are you kind of really just competing against yourself?
Yes, you definitely are. You definitely are. I mean, the best way to quantify whether you're getting any better is if your scores and times improve. Okay. That's one of the primary reasons we actually time workouts, so that if a workout ever occurs again, whether it's 6, 8, 12 weeks, a year down the line, you can officially say, oh, I did that workout a year ago. What was my score from last time? Oh, great, it's lower or more reps or whatever.
So what does a workout of the day look like?
Oh, that's a good question.
What's today's workout?
Today's workout is there's a strength component, and if people aren't quite up to putting heavy weights on the bar, we use it more of a skill session. Today we'll be looking at one of the Olympic lifts, the clean. So we usually break that down into its components and then build it up again into the full movement. And at that stage, people who are a little bit more competent with the movement can add a little bit of weight to challenge themselves. And those who are still learning the movement just run through the drill to become more competent. Then there's a short workout after that. And don't be misled by short. The high intensity portion means that you really are left huffing and puffing quite a lot at the end of that. And that's the bit that's constantly varied. So we use medicine balls, kettlebells, skipping ropes, rowing machines, pull-up bars, and the number of repetitions you do and the number of movements you do varies every day.
And it sounds like it could be scary for a new beginner, is it?
It can.
But then maybe everything is.
Exactly, it can be intimidating.
Yes. That's what stopped me going. I think, oh my gosh, I couldn't lift all those things like that, like all those big men.
Well, this is a problem I do run into with people who've seen the CrossFit Games. It's all over YouTube.
Yes.
They are phenomenal
They're
athletes.
amazing to watch.
They are. But we don't do that.
Oh, okay. So it's
it's like watching the Chiefs play
Yes.
and expecting that from your Sunday League team.
Yes.
They're very different.
What's important to know before starting CrossFit?
That's a good question. Not a lot, actually. CrossFit is definitely something you need to try before really deciding whether it's for you or not. The act of doing CrossFit will tell you whether it's for you or not.
Now, you've recently opened Kaimai Valley CrossFit in Te Aroha. You service quite a reasonably large geographical area. Tell me about that.
Well, again, the clue's in the name, Kaimai Valley. I opened the box with the specific idea of servicing that kind of community, not being specific to Te Aroha. Because there's the need for it. There's the population there, and the health benefits of CrossFit are there, and I want to try and spread that and give people the option to be able to do CrossFit. And then there really wasn't anything between Hamilton and Tauranga, so there was a gap in the market.
What do you offer at the CrossFit, at Kaimai Valley CrossFit?
We offer CrossFit classes at the moment because we are in beginning stages, the embryonic stages of developing. So offering too many different services could be confusing to people as to what they're actually signing up for. So at the moment it's primarily CrossFit, but there's scope for improvement.
To find out more information, visit kaimai-valley-crossfit.co.nz. Coming up next, GE Free, what is it all about? Welcome back to Central News. Dried distiller's grain is becoming a popular stock feed alternative. But do we really know where it is coming from and what is in it? I spoke with someone in our community that has great concern about dried distiller's grain.
Dried distiller's grains is because they are grown in crops. It comes from maize in the United States, and that's GE corn, more or less certain to be with undisclosed, unknown levels of glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in what I've been calling for the last few years glyphosate-based herbicides, things like Roundup. There are new products on the market, but they're all basically glyphosate is the active ingredient. And it's not that is not monitored at all. Those levels are not. For the last 2 years, I've been trying to get the MPI, Ministry of Primary Industries, and the EPA, Environmental Protection Authority, to do something about the nearly 200,000 tonnes per year of soy coming in from, most of it's from Argentina, therefore more or less guaranteed to be GE. In the Argentine case, we know that we have levels up to 100 parts per million. The maximum residual level, which is set by the Codex Alimentarius, FAO, and basically the American EPA, FDA, they've just doubled it. Originally, it was 0.1 part per million. In the late 1990s, they put it up to 20 parts per million, and just within the last few months, they've doubled it to 40 parts per million. Some of these foods which are going into the food chain, not so much in this country, but it's because it's just mainly soy, and then this DDGS, which is dried distiller's grains, is going into the food chain. That's a new one because it's been imported in here from America because China is refusing to accept it. So, and we don't know, as I say, we don't, as far as the soy goes, we have some idea, and I've actually tested some imported soy here, and it's just less than 5 parts per million in the soy that I tested. And we've got levels within the food. We're talking in terms of 0.1 part per billion. We're getting hormone disruption, creating all sorts of problems in humans. I've got a paper, I've got news from people I work with in Germany and Denmark that they're getting, for example, if they get it at a certain level of glyphosate in the GE soy and corn which they feed over there, they get 1 in 260 deformities or malformations, abortions in their pigs. When the level goes down to when it goes down, the level of abortions, malformations and whatever goes to up to 1 in 1,460. So it's gone up, say 6 times more. There was a report of the Federated Farmers Chairman and the grain, the chairman of the grain people who were in Argentina a few months ago. They came back, glorifying GE corn. They didn't say anything about the 447% increase in malformations and abortions in children of the mothers, from mothers and they live in areas which are being used for growing GE corn, or the 330%, I think, increase in cancers. They didn't say anything about that, but the people, the doctors and what have you, are working over there, are pushing the authorities to do something about it.
You talk about parts per million, and it does sound like a lot. Like, it doesn't sound like, to me, who's not a scientist, and it doesn't sound like that is potentially dangerous to our DNA and our makeup as humans. Can you explain that more? I mean, what does parts per million mean? Does that mean that it is getting into our DNA and it is getting into us molecule, the kind of molecule level and disrupting our DNA?
Well, for a start, DNA, that's the GE part of it. That DNA, that altered DNA, which goes into GE, genetically engineered, or GM, which is genetically modulated. We prefer, that is the physicians and scientists, we prefer engineered, because that's a more thing. Monitored, it's just, you just filling about with it. But this is drastic changes that we're talking about. So with that, the DNA is going through the food chain, and it's being found in humans. Right. People have got nothing to do. And the same is with glyphosate. They're getting levels in the urine, breast milk, what have you, of women who live in cities in Germany, Denmark, America, Canada, which are getting parts per that. So, and that part per million is milligrams per kilogram, another way of putting it. The one that is thrown about is a drop in a swimming pool. All right. So the drop in a swimming pool may not sound good, but with the way these things work, a lot of things work. It is not in a straight line. From the more you put in, the more it's worse. In a lot of these cases, it's the other way down. That it depends. It becomes more toxic the more dilute it is.
Just ahead, your weather for the weekend, and the new night shelter in Tauranga opens its doors. Welcome back. The homeless people of Tauranga now have the choice of sleeping under shelter, thanks to the Tauranga Moana Night Shelter Trust and the vision they have worked on for many years.
This particular project began about 5 years ago, but I know even before that there's been a lot of discussion about the need and so on, but yeah, we got together and formed our reference group and then the trust 5 years ago.
There have been quite a few people involved too.
Oh yes, a lot, and I think part of the strength of it is that we have so many people involved who have a background, have an interest, have knowledge. So that's government agencies, churches, community groups, and just people on the street. Yeah.
Andrew, after all those years, how does it feel to actually finally be here? Is there a sense of relief or a sense of excitement?
Oh, it feels good. It's appreciated by some of the boys already. They're wanting to come back already, even though it's only been one day that they've been in here. So that's really good,
And Mike, how do you feel when that ribbon was finally cut?
Yeah, just a great relief. And a sense of achievement, really, that we did it, and and the circumstances how it unfolded in the last 12 months have just been remarkable, Yeah. Just sweet, and it's had a great feel to the way it's come. We haven't had to fight and battle and struggle. It's just unfolded beautifully.
But there is only one thing to go. The venue doesn't quite have a name yet.
Well, that's really difficult, because what do you call or name a night shelter? For the name to mean what it's there for. It'd be really hard just putting as the trust name as Tauranga Moana Night Shelter Trust, that we really need to put another name in front of that sort of a thing. Yeah.
But as Mayor Stewart said Mayor Crosby said at the opening, the name will drop out. It'll come, and it'll come in a way that just we'll know that it's the right name.
Mike, can you talk us through what the facility is? What it provides and what it doesn't provide?
First and foremost, it's a place to provide shelter and a safe place for people to stay, to sleep, to use the facilities, have a shower, maybe have a meal, have some food, and that's its first and primary aim. But it's also more than that. It's the opportunity to move on with your life. If people want to make that choice, we have the staff here now who can help transition back into perhaps more independent living and what have you. But first and foremost, it's a shelter. Yeah.
So what doesn't it provide?
But we're not specialists in mental health, we're not specialists in addictions, we're not specialists in those kinds of areas. We'll take people who have those issues for sure, but we're not a specialist facility. It's a shelter, it's a place of refuge.
Registration for a good night's sleep at the shelter is at 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Now for the weather for our weekend. Hamilton, showers, strong gusty northwesterlies. Your expected high is 14 and an overnight low of 5. The rest of the Waikato, showers, strong gusty northwesterlies. Paeroa 15 and 7, Matamata 13 and 6, Te Awamutu 14 and 5, and Tokoroa 11 and 4. Tauranga, rain developing, then showers, strengthening westerlies. Your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 6. The rest of the Bay of Plenty, rain developing, followed by showers, westerlies becoming strong and possibly a gale. Te Puke, you can expect 13 and an overnight low of 7. Looking at Sunday now, showers becoming less frequent and a cool southwest change for Hamilton. Your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 4. For the rest of the Waikato, you can expect showers becoming less frequent too, and an early change to a strong, cool southwesterly. Paeroa, your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 6. Matamata 13 and 5, Te Awamutu 15 and 4, and Tokoroa, you can expect a high of 12 and an overnight low of a very cool 3. Tauranga, showers clearing, cool southwest change for you as well, 16 and 6. The rest of the Bay, showers clearing, strong, cool southwesterlies developing for you. Te Puke, you can expect a high of 14 and an overnight low of 6. That is Central News for today and this week. You can get in touch with us via our Facebook page, centralnews.tv, or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. Next week, we look at the Karangahake Gorge mining and community patrol and their role with preventing crime. Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.